Hey guys, it's Christina Selena reporting from two parts of the world.
And today we're going to talk about some of the differences between German and Chinese culture. So, this is the second part to the presentation from Yang about German culture versus Chinese culture. Okay, so this is just a simple one. German people eat like one hot meal a day typically. I think nowadays maybe two even. But I think breakfast is almost always cold, and then dinner can be like also similar to breakfast, where it's just like bread and like some cold cuts, but sometimes it could also be like a big dinner.
Hmm.
And I guess in China it's like all three hot.
Oh yeah, I think it's true. My mom told me to. She suggested that I make the salad with some papaya that I had the other day, and I was just like, why would I do that? I hate salads. It's cold. It makes my stomach cold. Yeah. So, and then she was like, okay, well then make it into a soup.
So in Germany it's really typical to eat like a really big meal for breakfast and then like a smaller meal for lunch and even smaller meal. Like for dinner you really eat typically something pretty small. Is it similar in Chinese
Mhm.
culture?
No, I think that I think breakfast kind of varies depending on like where you are, like versus like America or like I don't know, like Hong Kong or something. Um, I think that we do a medium to large breakfast because we have these like they're called like ABC meals, I guess, where they're like preset meals with like your there's like a well the one I always get is like it's like macaroni and soup with spam, and then on the side there's toast with butter, and then on the side it comes with coffee or tea, and that usually runs from like 7 a.m. to like 10 a.m. But then like there's also like dim sum or like yumta, and that's also like a pretty big meal. It's similar to tapas where it's a bunch of small dishes that you share like family style, and so I think lunch. I feel like all of our meals are pretty heavy, honestly.
Okay. Okay. So this one's kind of cute, I guess. It's like older people and how they spend their days. I think it's
Mhm.
really typical for like elderly German people to, go walk their dog and kind of
Mhm.
that have that kind of life, but it's a bit lonely because I think we don't well we value family, but it's not like as important. Like I don't think it's so typical to live like with your grandparents or something,
Mhm.
or like live
Mhm.
necessarily close. Um,
Mhm.
I guess Chinese culture is different.
Yeah, when I was growing up, my grandma would watch us, and I guess it was both. Like you would get the best of both worlds, as in like, why hire a babysitter when you can have a family member take care of your children because that's like within the family, and that also helps like your child like learn more about their own culture, and like I think it's just like a full circle thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
like keeping things within the family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess like my relationship with my grandparents was more like, oh, let's go visit them in that type of way. Like we
Mm-hmm.
visited quite often, but like the caretaker was definitely like my parents. And Germany has like really good systems in place, as in like I don't know what it's called in English, like God, child money. That sounds so weird. That's
Mm-hmm.
the exact translation. Where like you get money, basically like if you're a stay-at-home mom, you still have some income to take care of your child, basically, or a stay-home
Mm-hmm.
dad. And so for me, it was most like my mom was home most of my childhood until I like was old
Mm-hmm.
enough and went to school and stuff. So like, and there's also like you don't lose your job for like 2 years. So if you decide to take time off, you can have like they're not allowed to fire you for like 2 years if you decide to take time off after having a child. And usually like around
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 years, you can start going to like kindergarten or like those types of programs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, we all know that that's different here in America.
Yeah. So this is like a huge problem between me and Christina in our friendship because we travel a lot and like Germans love sunny weather. Like if there's sun out, I'll be like outside like tanning or and then if it's raining it's like, oh, what are we even gonna do today?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, except you like to tan for like hours where like our skin is burning.
It's not burning. It's a tan.
It's burning. It's burning.
Well, we don't get sun a lot, so it's like when it's finally there, like you gotta take advantage of it.
Yeah. So remember how like you would always talk about how like it was never sunny in Germany, and then the first time I went to visit you, it was so sunny. You're like, Christina, it's not like this. It's not like this all the time.
It's not. We have like 2 weeks of sun a year. Just kidding, we don't. It's not that extreme, but like it gets a bit depressing. But you should tell the story about like when you were little and you were like crying because the sun was following you.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so embarrassing.
No, it's cute.
Yeah, I was in when I was in Florida, like Orlando, with family on like a family trip. I guess I didn't have any concept of the sun. And I was just like really like cranky about how I felt like the sun was constantly following me and it was really hot. So I ran into the shade.
I guess like if you're little, like that's just like I guess part of your culture that you don't really like the sun as much as like I feel like our culture. We do the next one.
Oh, we definitely just talked about this.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like
I like to have a tan. I just don't like to be burnt like pizza.
burnt pizza.
That was good, right? That was good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it goes back to just like standards of beauty also, where like I guess in German culture it's like, oh, you could afford a vacation, or like people are always asking like, oh, where did you come from? You look tan, and like it's like a conversation that's always like, you go to the dentist, it's like, oh, you look tan, where did you go? Or like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a part of it.
Yeah. Whereas for us, like, we try to keep our skin fair and wrinkle free. Not saying that you're wrinkly.
Listen,
You can cut that part out.
I'm turning
What?
old soon.
I think that a reason for why, at least for like Southern Chinese cultures, to do want to like stay fair, I think it's because like our families are usually out in the fields like harvesting rice all the time. So I think that like you're that's like showing that you're working all the time and that you're always out in the sun. So I think that if you stay fair, it's like, I don't know, like a sign of class. Like I don't know.
It's the same in like in Europe in the past. It was the same thing where like fairness was a sign of class because you're not outside working. But I don't know what
Right.
happened to that. Now it's like, oh, you went on vacation.
All right.
Woo! This one. This is like one of the ones where like I get really frustrated about, and I try to tell myself like different cultures have different rules about time. So I guess like Germans are like extra punctual, and I was studying abroad in Madrid, whereas like Spanish is like, whew, you could be like an hour late and still be on time. Just kidding, it's not that extreme. But like I would go to class at like 8 a.m. and like sit there by myself for like a half hour or something. So then I was like, all right, I'll get to class at like 9:20 so that I'm not that early. And then it's just like me and the professor, and I don't speak that cool. Like my Spanish is terrible, so I'm like, all right, let me try
You're just
8:30.
like,
Let's
hola.
go. Hola, ¿qué tal? Like, but yeah, so then I kind of started to learn like, oh, if I'll just show up later and then I'm like on time. But the thing that like that didn't frustrate me so much, but the thing that frustrates me like a lot is if I'm like with a friend or like talking to a friend, I'm like, hey, let's meet at this restaurant at like 10 p.m. or something. And then I'm sitting there by myself for like ever. I find that really disrespectful.
I do think that this is like pretty true for us. I think we do try to be on time, but I think that our window of on time, like we understand that we're late, but it wouldn't be a big deal, and it would still be considered like, okay, well, they're here, you know.
Yeah.
within like 20 minutes or something. I mean, if you're like an hour late, then your parents are going to blame the kids. And then we're just like, but why? We didn't do anything.
No,
But
definitely
everyone
like
forgets the kids.
yeah. No. And I feel like this is also something in our friendship that was like, but I think American culture is also not very punctual. I feel like I had this problem
Yeah.
with every other culture except German culture and like Swiss culture or something.
But I'm very much improved. I'm Christina 2.0.
Yes, yes, yes. Because I always got
I'm
really mad
almost
about it.
German. I'm almost German now.
Yes.
So the next one is portraying the sound volumes at a restaurant. And I think that in German restaurants, people tend to be more, it's more spacious. So I think
Mm.
that like people can actually like hear each other when they're talking. Although I'm sure if you go to like, but according to what I remember, Oktoberfest is loud. I'm just saying.
It's not
Anyway,
a restaurant, I'm
so
just saying.
well, I think even when you go to like restaurants that are holding like Oktoberfest events, that's still a restaurant.
Okay.
Brauhaus in Philadelphia is loud. There's that.
Yes.
But I guess
Because
it's not
that's
full of
full of
Germans.
Germans, yeah.
Yeah, it's full of like Americans. Okay. And some Germans. So I think that in Chinese restaurants, they tend to be smaller and more packed. And so people have to speak louder. And, nobody's like yelling at each other, but that's just how like that's how you can be heard. And also like our tables are really big. When you have like big
Mm.
family dinners, they're like a table of 10, like I was saying earlier, right? So if you want somebody to hear you on the other side of the table, you kind of have to talk louder.
Well, okay. I think that if everybody talks at a normal decibel, then you don't have to speak over people. Like if everybody's talking up here, then you gotta like keep going higher. But if everybody's talking here, you're still like not
Well, that's the beauty of it. So for this one, I think that they're trying to say, wait, what is it called? What's das kind? What is
it's
that?
it's the kid
Oh.
in German. Das Kind.
So in this one, it is showing that the child is very important and is like the center of the family. And I think that that's true because like we're very focused on like continuing our, what's that called? Our
Legacy.
line. Yeah, and our legacy. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that we want to try to provide, I mean, I don't have kids. I think we want to try to provide the most that we can for their future and
Mm-hmm.
for our future legacies as well.
Okay. I guess in
And
Germany
what
it's
about
just
you?
like mm, I think the child is not like the center of attention, really, like in the family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's more linear, like it's shown where it's like everybody's kind
Mm-hmm.
of equal.
So I think that it's about like your parents worked really hard for you to get there, so they don't want you to have to work as hard as they did.
Mm.
And like it just gets better like through the generations.
Okay, so I feel like this is also something in like our friendship when we travel all the time. Whereas like Christina
Mm-hmm.
needs to stop and take a photo. Like I'm not allowed to touch my food until she takes a photo. I'm not allowed to like do anything. And I'm just like, Jesus, I just want to eat my food or like do I don't know. I feel like I get more annoyed about how many pictures you take and then in the end
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I didn't take so many pictures as I should have.
Well, I think it's definitely like a culture thing. And well, first of all, I think that everybody's taking photos of their foods nowadays. But I think it
Instagram.
goes back to like I think it goes back to like for in Chinese like cultures like we don't really travel a lot because we're trying to save our money for like the education of like our child and like so when we do travel like we want to take a photo of everything to remember
Mm,
it, everything and like so that you can share it with like all
everything.
your families and friends to be like this is what we ate, this is what we did. I think it's also like a sign of wealth, to be able to travel and to be cultured and
Mm-hmm.
go to different countries. But I think for the most part, it's just really that we just want to like be able to remember this and cherish this. And
Mm-hmm.
when people ask me like a few years down the line, what did we eat that time? Guess who knows? I do because
It's
I
not
have a
that
photo of
important.
it.
It's not that important.
I have a photo of it. Or when I brought my parents to Barcelona like a month ago, and I was like, you know what I ate here that was really good? It was this. See, it's useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us
Um,
know if you know of any like German, Chinese, or any other two cultures that are very different from each other, and comment below and let us know.
yes. Don't forget to subscribe if you like to see these videos, and we'll be posting more of these videos because I think it's like a kind of interesting dynamic that we have, that our cultures are so different, but yet we're like BFFs, you know. um, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.